Welcome to Ed Fluential Sports, where passion meets precision. I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. And as the NBA season will be starting back tomorrow, since the All-Star break is almost over, I want to drop this video talking about the Knicks and why I think these two specific players changed everything for the Knicks and for their championship hopes later in the season. Obviously, they won the in-season tournament. They won the Shooting Stars Challenge at All-Star Weekend. But can they win an actual championship? Can they win the NBA championship? Now, pre-deadline, pre-picking up Sohan, I would have said no. I definitely would have thought that the Pistons were the top contender, and I still do think that. But there is a world where I do see the Knicks beating them with these additions, and I'm going to explain why. Obviously, I still think they could beat the Celtics even with them because they beat the Celtics last year, and Tatum obviously he went out. I think if Tatum stays healthy, then they could potentially come back from being down 3-1. But I don't think the Celtics can match up with the Knicks without having Jason Tatum. Obviously, the Cavs, and it really depends. Like, can Harden step up come playoff time? Like, we've seen him have a few solid games, but when it comes down to an elimination game, what is he going to do? The Raptors, they're a fun team, but I think they'll probably be second round exits depending on the matchup. Then all the teams below that, it's like the Sixers. I don't trust Embiid's health. I mean, I hope he can stay healthy, but I just don't trust it. Any teams in the play-in, I just don't see winning. The Hornets, I think, will have the most fun series out of any team. No matter who they play, I just think they're going to have a really fun series, but I don't see them winning against anybody. Then even the teams out to play in, the Bulls are full in tank mode. The Bucks, shout out Cam Thomas, they doing their thing. Then the Nets, Pacers, and Wizards, they just suck this year. So, but now diving into these moves and why they made these moves, Miles McBride is the biggest key to these moves happening because he suffered a hernia injury and that could keep him out for a while, potentially going into the playoffs. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but we do know that he's out for at least the rest of the regular season. A playoff comeback is possible, but it's not a guarantee. So him being out, you lose that spark plug off the bench. Obviously, you still got Jordan Clarkson, who's going to do his thing in the 18 minutes that he gets. But he isn't a point guard. You need an actual backup point guard. So that led to them trading Yerson Yabusele, who is a solid backup big, but you already have Mitch Robinson and Cat. So it's like you don't need a third big on your team. So they send off Yabusele to Chicago to get Dylan Terry. So that created some cap space, and it allowed them to move Terry as well to get Jose Alvarado. They shipped him out. They didn't keep him that long because they didn't need to, because they're looking for a point guard who could provide them good minutes and give them something that they needed off that bench. And then the Spurs ended up releasing Jeremy Sohan, who they weren't really using, which the Spurs they didn't really need him after his 3 years of service there, and this is his fourth year. It was like you seen the direction it was going in. Like his 11 points, it was valuable. It did help them. And those who, I mean, they didn't really do nothing. But he did have some solid. His first 3 seasons were very solid. His fourth season, which is this year, didn't do much, but that came with Harrison Barnes keeping him in that veteran leadership, having Cornette. I think they signed him this offseason and drafting Carter Bryant. You drafted Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper. So going to that youth movement, adding Fox last year, I think. And so with all these moves they made from last year going into this year, my guy Julian Champagnie getting some more minutes. And so it just made sense that he wasn't getting used as much because it's like he's not bad. It's just the Spurs are going in a different direction and he just doesn't fit in with that team. It's not even a youth thing. It's really just more of a play style. Like his play style could be more valuable coming off the bench somewhere else, somewhere in San Antonio. His fourth season, he's not getting that many minutes because he don't really need to get that many minutes with that San Antonio team. But with the Jose Alvarado move, this is a great move. Because he's giving you great 3-point shooting 37% from 3 this season, which I didn't even realize. Like I knew he was a solid shooter. I thought he was at like 34, 35, but he's shooting 35% from 3 this season. He brings the defensive tenacity with great effort. So that's something that Miles McBride didn't give you. While McBride did give you the 3-point shooting, and you're easily able to replace that with Jose Alvarado coming in, he wasn't giving you that defensive tenacity and effort that Jose Alvarado was giving you. Even if he gave you a solid effort, you're going to get a great effort out of Jose Alvarado. So you definitely with him being out, you get an upgrade. You still get around, I don't remember what McBride shoots from 3, but he did But anytime I watch the Knicks, he's definitely hitting a few threes. And I know Jose Alvarado before All-Star break had a 26-point game with 8 threes and 5 steals. I'm not expecting that. Like I said, I don't expect him to do that every game because that's an unrealistic expectation. But for him to hit a few threes, him shooting that well from three, the great defense he plays, like he's not getting 5 steals every night, but he is giving you great defense every night. So it's going to be times where he gets 3 steals or 4 steals. Maybe he gets 5 steals again. Obviously, he won't be consistent. He's averaging one something steals per game this season, and then he's going to get you a few assists, about 3 assists per game. So you get a great backup for Brunson that's going to bring that defensive tenacity. It's going to shoot really well from 3, and it's filling that void of Miles McBride being out. Because if he is out to the playoffs and you have that guy that can come off the bench, if you need him to hit a few threes, he'll be able to do that. You won't demand that from Jose Alvarado, but you do demand that amazing defense that he's giving you, being one of the better defending point guards in the league. So he's going to give you that really good defense night in and night out. Even if it is the most favorable matchup, he's going to give you that defense. So it allows Brunson to get a break, and it allows him to take on some of those tougher assignments, especially come playoff time. Like I would imagine if they do match up with Boston and Derek White is on fire, you're putting Jose Alvarado on him. Or you can even stick, because obviously one of your other defenders like OG or McHale, they'll probably be on Brown. But who's going to guard Derek? Obviously Derek White is stroker this season, but if he gets hot, who's going to guard him? If Asar Thompson, obviously his offensive game is still developing for the Pistons, but if he's going off, maybe you could stick Jose Alvarado on him to slow him down. Because size, it don't matter for Jose Alvarado. He's able to defend anybody. Maybe you had to put him on Cade. I don't trust Brunson to guard Cade in the playoffs because I just think that I can trust Cade to guard Brunson because he has a bigger frame and he's a better defender. But Brunson, can he stop Cade? Probably not. But Jose Alvarado is a much better defender than what Brunson is. So I can see, maybe that's a more favorable matchup. Like, it's going to be like Brunson and Jose going to have to run together at some points, especially if they match up against the Pistons team. Maybe they match up with the Sixers. Maybe you need Jose to guard Tyrese Maxey. Maybe you could stick McHale on Tyrese, but you're gonna need somebody to stop those guys. And so I like the Jose move. That's a really good move. Jeremy Sohan, like I said, he struggled this year, but that's mainly because he just hasn't been playing. But he just didn't fit with the Spurs anymore. That's simply what it came down to. But with him with the Knicks coming off the bench, he's going to give you good rebounding, being able to close out possessions, and it's just a great depth piece to add to that team, especially if you have an injury. He still might not get the most minutes, which he don't need to, but the minutes he gets, he just has to be valuable, which is going to be some matchups where it will be favorable and valuable to have him in a matchup like that. Maybe in the first round, you get to that second seed because you're a game and a half behind the second seed. If you get to the second seed and you match up against a 7th-seeded Charlotte team that's on fire, maybe he could be used in that series to match that youth and match that energy that the Hornets will provide in that series. So he won't be valuable in every matchup, but he can be but in specific matchups he can be valuable in, which I think is important. Because obviously your starters and your six, and you're going to use them in every matchup. I imagine Jose being used in every matchup. But there's some guys you need to use for specific matchups, and I think Jeremy Sohan can provide that, being able to close out possessions, adding depth to that team. Like obviously you had McHale. Yeah, it was not McHale. It was OG. He was injured earlier in the year. If they had Sohan when OG was injured for that stretch that he was out, they probably get a few more wins, and they probably are the second seed, probably a bit closer. As long as they are third in the East, 35-20, have half game back at the Celtics who are the second seed. If they weren't missing, let's just say that they made the move earlier to get a Sohan, and they got Sohan for free. They didn't have to give up anything for him, but he would have been very valuable in those games that OG was missing because they had lost a few of those games. Cat stepped up defensively, but it's not going to be consistent. And then when you look at their Knicks team, they're 8-10 in their last. Going into All-Star break, they were 8-10 in their last 10 games. They had a 4th highest point differential out of any team. If I'm not, they had a 4th highest point differential out of any team in the league at 6.1. OKC has the highest. Then it's just the top 3 East teams. It's OKC is 11 plus 11.7, which is the only double-digit point differential. So shout out to OKC. Then it goes Pistons at plus 7.9, Celtics plus 6.9, Knicks plus 6.1. So they had a fourth highest point differential, and they had the second best home record in the East behind the Pistons. The Pistons are 21-6 at home. The Knicks are 21-7 at home. So if the Knicks can, what did I say? The Pistons are 21-6 at home, and the Knicks are 21-7 at home. I don't know if I said the Knicks the first time or not, but yeah. So both teams are really good at home. So them having home court advantage is going to be valuable for both teams, but especially for the Knicks. Because I think if they can get to that second seed, passing Boston, which is realistic, they only a half game back, and both teams they just won their last game, and the Celtics went 7-3 in their last 10. And so it's realistic that the Knicks could pass them, and that's going to be a very favorable matchup because they go against Orlando. Like I like Paolo, but I definitely think the Knicks can shut them down. I think that defense can shut them down. Either him or Franz is going to be shut down. And Franz, he was disappointed in the last few playoff runs. He had a few bright moments, but like if they get that matchup versus the Magic, it's hard not to favor the Knicks. And then when you look at this team and the guys that they already have that they're adding to this, Jalen Brunson is great. He's giving you 27 points per game, 6 assists, while shooting 37% from three. He's an offensive engine who's showing you he can step up come playoff time. The Knicks playoff losses to the Pacers the last 2 years, I do think Halliburton played better, but I don't think it was like significant. Like it was still super close in my opinion. And it came down to the others around them. So Brunson, I still think so. He's an offensive engine who's shown he can be a playoff riser and lead this team, getting them to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So now you add this, you give him a great backup, especially defensively. Which McBride, he was giving you the shooting, but he wasn't giving you the defense that Hosea is going to provide you. And so Brunson, I just imagine he'll step up again come playoff time. Then the others you got coming off the bench, you got Landry Shamet, who's shooting 42% from 3 on 5 attempts. Like that's even obviously the threes are gonna slow down come playoff time, but if you got a guy shooting that well from 3, he's definitely gonna be in some games late. Even in the regular season, he's been in some games late down the stretch, giving them that amazing 3-point shooting. Tyler Kolek, he probably won't get much time, but he's a solid 3-point shooter. I think he shoots 33%, which is kind of surprising to me. But he has a nice jump shot, and he's going to get in for a few plays, hit a few threes. And then Clarkson that I spoke about earlier, he's giving you 9 points on 43, 33, and 79 splits. He just comes in off the bench for those 18 minutes to provide a little spark for the team, especially if they're down. So obviously he'll still be used in some capacity. And now for the more important guys like Mitchell Robinson, one of the best offensive rebounders coming off the bench in the league, he's giving you almost 9 rebounds a game and 1 block per game. So he's able to close out possessions, able to extend possessions, and he's able to block shots. So he's doing all that a big man needs to do, especially off the bench. He don't have to do anything else really, because he don't need to score like a bunch of points. He'll get a few layups here and there, but that's not his job. His job is to get rebounds, extend possessions, close out possessions, and get a few blocks. That's what you need Mitchell Robinson for. Josh Hart, he's also doing the same thing, closing out possessions, averaging 7.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, and 1.2 steals per game, showing how versatile he is. Whether you need him to play make, he can give you good defense and he can close out the possession. So he's really giving it to you all, and he's also giving you a few points. I think he's averaging around maybe 11, 12 points this season. I could be wrong on his points, but I know. But you don't focus. You're looking at Josh Hart. You're not focused on his points. I'm gonna check that, but he's giving you 12 points per game, and so yeah. And then Mikal Bridges, he's continued to show why he's the Iron Man that the NBA has played in all 55 games. He's giving you good defense, and so obviously in the playoffs that's valuable because the best ability is availability, and Mikal Bridges is always available. We've seen this whether it was in Phoenix, whether it was in Brooklyn, or now with the Knicks. He's always available. He's never missing a game. He even played 83 games in one season. That's going to be very valuable because he's really consistent. He's consistently giving you solid offense, giving you good defense, and he's always there. So even if he has an off night, it's at least our Iron Man is still there, giving us all. And then you got OG Anunoby, one of the best defending power forwards in the league, giving you 16 points, 5 rebounds per game, 1.7 steals per game, while shooting 47% from the field, 37% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. So OG's been great. His defense, that's going to be super valuable. Like I said, you would probably stick a OG Anunoby on a Jaylen Brown in a playoff series if it comes to that. Uh, if they're playing the Pistons, you might stick OG Anunoby on Durant instead of Cat. You might trust OG. You should trust OG more than Cat in that series. If they're playing the Raptors, the OG he's guarding Scotty Barnes. Like any of these, if playing the Cavs, might put him on Mitchell. I think Mikhail will guard Harden. But the Cavs, that'll be an interesting matchup. They playing the Magic. OG, he's guarding Paolo. Play the Heat, probably guarding Bam. Because you would trust him more than Cat, like I said, defensively. They play the Hornets, you might want to stick him on the nipple to try to keep him off the three-point line if they match up with the Hornets in the first round. But we'll see with OG Anunoby, he's going to take that defensive assignment each night because that's what he's their best defender, and he's going to give them great defense. Like I said, he missed time earlier in the season, but Cat was able to step up defensively during that time, which is why the Cat, he is a double-double machine, giving you nearly 20 and 12 a night. But he's less efficient than Brunson, which your center should never be less efficient than your point guard. That's weird. But can he give that defensive effort? He hasn't given it since OG has been back. Can he step up come playoff time because the game slows down? Can Cat come playoff time do that? I think these two additions, in my opinion, of Sohan and Alvarado change a lot for this team because I definitely think they can win a championship with this core that they have, especially all things go right and they stay healthy if they get the right matchup, which I think they will. I definitely think they can finish as a second seed. So I'm not expecting Alvarado to have 26 points and 5 steals every game. That's unrealistic. And obviously, Sohan, like I said, he's a great depth piece to have. I think he's going to add some good rebounding to that team and just be really solid. But Cat, it still comes down. This team is really good. I like them a lot more than I did pre-trade deadline. Because pre-trade deadline, I wouldn't have been sitting up here making this video and saying that they can win a championship. But now with the core that they have, with the team that they have, I really think they can do it. It comes down, can Cat step up defensively? In the playoffs where the game slows down, can we trust you to put you on Bam if we meet up with the Heat in the first round? That's the Knicks. Can you trust Cat to be on Bam? Can you trust if the Sixers fall to the play-in? Can you put Cat on Embiid? Is that what you're able to do? Obviously, I'm not a Knicks fan, but I'm speaking as the Knicks. If I'm Mike Brown, can I trust that to happen? And this is probably the best defense Mike Brown has coached that I can think of, especially recently. Those Kings teams were not good defensively, but now Mike Brown is the coach. Can you trust Cat to do those things? And you're gonna trust him to get a double-double. He's gonna shoot a few logo threes and make them. But I think it all comes down to Karl-Anthony Towns. Brunson I trust, especially offensively. OG, he can guard anybody. Mikal Bridges, that's your Iron Man. Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, they can extend and close out possessions. Off your bench, you got Shamet, Clarkson, Kovac, Alvarado and Sohan. Their bench is really good, in my opinion. I really like this team, and they're one of the best teams. They're the second best team at home in the East. So with them having home court advantage in a playoff series, I think this team can win a championship. And I definitely think with the pieces they already had and with the pieces that they added with these two, this team could win a championship. I would not be surprised if they did. But I think it all comes down to Karl-Anthony Towns. Can he step up come playoff time? We've seen, obviously we've seen him not do that with these new pieces around, with it not being as much pressure on the Cat. Obviously, he's still the second option, but it's other guys for the Knicks to lean on. I do think that is one thing that the Knicks will have to overcome. I hope that he's able to do it because I do think the Knicks can win a championship. But I think the X factor for this team ultimately comes down to Karl-Anthony Towns and what he's able to do. But Alvarado and Sohan were great additions to this team. With that being said, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, comment what y'all thought, share for others to see, and let me know, do y'all think the Knicks can win a championship after adding Jose Alvarado and Jeremy Sohan?